the Super Bowl happened last weekend, so I'm not sure if any of you watched it. I know you guys are probably not too big of sports fans, and to be honest, I don't really watch American football, and I don't even know how like most of the rules work. But I watched it, and I kind of want to approach this topic from a different angle. So I'm not just gonna like talk about like who won, who lost, who did good plays because I don't know any of that stuff. I don't watch sports besides maybe the World Cup. But this story, I think the Super Bowl has been talked about online as being perhaps a conspiracy. So bear with me here on how this works, right? So you guys all know that there's an election coming in November in America, and Taylor Swift is known as someone who is left leaning, right? So she's going to be a lot more open to endorsing Biden than endorsing Trump. Now, for those of you who don't know, Taylor Swift is dating this guy named Travis Kelsey, who's one of the star players on Kansas City, who's one of the teams that played in the Super Bowl. So they were playing against San Francisco, the San Francisco 49ers versus Kansas City Chiefs. So because she's dating the main guy from Kansas City, a lot of her fans, the Swifties, are all in supportive of Kansas City. And this has kind of become a controversy in of itself, where a lot of football fans are complaining that Swifties are swarming their games and they're just there for Taylor Swift and ruining the experience for everyone. I'm not going to get into that, but essentially, the conspiracy theory is that Biden, who wants to get reelected, obviously, is trying to court the favor of Taylor Swift, who, if Taylor Swift endorses Biden, then that'll motivate the Swifties to vote for Biden in the upcoming elections. Now, in order for to do that, and again, this is the conspiracy. I'm not saying that this is what's going on, but according to the conspiracy, in exchange for Taylor Swift endorsing Biden, the Biden administration has promised Taylor Swift a little bit of something, with that being rigging the game so that her boyfriend would win. So the evidence for this conspiracy theory, if you look at what actually happened, it was the most exciting Super Bowl I've ever seen in my life. And I know I probably say this every year, but this is like, it beats out all the previous years, genuinely, in my opinion. And it's not because of recency bias. It's only because like it was literally neck and neck, right? So what happened was they tied at the last minute to go to overtime. And then overtime, Kansas City ended up winning. So that kind of supports the conspiracy theory, how they like scripted it to be exciting, and then they tossed it to Kansas City in the end. To further support that, Kansas City was only able to make it to overtime because they were behind for most of the game, pretty much. They were only able to make it to overtime because San Francisco missed a critical field goal that would have gave them a 1 point win, like a win by 1 point by the end of regular time. But they missed it. So they missed that 1 point. And then because of they missed that 1 point, they were tied. And then it went to overtime, and then Kansas City won. Right. So it was literally by the skin of your teeth that Kansas City eked out a win, because they were like basically about to lose. And just to add to that, I'm not saying I believe in the conspiracy theory, but let me just say that, according to Elon Musk's law, the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. So I think it would be the most entertaining if Kansas City won. So, which is why I bet $1,100 before the game, and then I doubled my money, so I won $1,100. So, yeah, that there was that. Courtesy of the CIA, I guess I'm going to be having some steak later. But what do you guys think? Like, aside from that, I'm not encouraging gambling, by the way. Please don't cancel me. So, like, please gamble responsibly. If you are, and I did it through like regulated channels. I did it through the Ontario Lottery Organization, the OLG. So it's all legit. It's all kosher. But you have to be 18 in order to do this, and I'm more than that, obviously.
More than that.
So just in case you guys didn't think that I was 18. But yeah, anyway, so what do you guys think? Is this a conspiracy, or is it just totally being overblown? And what do you guys think that Taylor Swift actually will have a significant impact on the election in the first place?
I'm not like no one can like truly know if it was like a whole conspiracy theory so that Biden would have the benefit of the doubt. But you can't deny that Taylor Swift has a huge influence on a lot of people. Consistent sold out concerts. I was listening to the Morning Brew podcast, and there's even people that track her flights to see how much emissions that she does between place to place and to locate and kind of know where she is at all times. It's kind of like an air tag, but it's like posts on Twitter, I think. So there's no denying her reach. I'll say I don't know if it's like conspiracy theory like you were mentioning, but it could be. Like the truth is no one knows, There's a lot of things.
So during the
JFK,
game,
I'll say that, but no
during
one
the
knows.
game, there was like 3 San Francisco players that just like got injured for seemingly no reason. Like I was watching it, and there's one guy that just tripped over flat ground, and then he had to be like carried off. And he was from San Francisco, right? So when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, CIA." Just kidding. I don't know if the conspiracy theory is true, but Tristan, what do you think?
I have a very different sort of different conspiracy theory. I don't really see the CIA being the conspirators. I think that Taylor Swift is most likely going to endorse the Democratic candidate either way. I think it's unlikely that this will have any impact in any way, shape, or form on her decision or anything to that effect. And I don't think that they bought the Kansas City Chiefs victory in order to convince Taylor to vote or to encourage people to vote Democrat. That being said, I think the NFL rigged it because they're making so much extra money from Taylor Swift just coming to these events. Taylor Swift being there. Taylor Swift is giving them so much coverage. They're getting so many more viewers. Pretty sure this is the most watched Super Bowl ever. And Taylor Swift has had a huge impact on that. So because of that fact, I think that even before this, I think that the NFL was basically ensuring that Kansas City got into the finals, and then I think that the Taylor Swift effect was such that they made sure that Taylor's boyfriend won. That there was something to that effect in order to encourage him to, one, stick around, and two, for her to be there and for her to be like, yeah, and all the Swifties being like, yeah. I think that it was a whole plot by the NFL in order to just basically get a bunch more money and try and keep the gravy train of having Taylor Swift come to their events going.
Yeah, Dom, go ahead.
No, I was saying, like, what if these like injuries that you were talking about that happened were like, a little bribery here and there or something, or did it look like legitimate like injuries, or maybe they put like a booby trap on the field, like just like step there at this moment at this time and pretend like you're injured, like who knows? But yeah, I could see how it's financially induced. Like, of course, you want Taylor to go.
Where I think, in my opinion, they didn't look like natural injuries, which is what raised my suspicion. But again, it could be, right. I'm not saying it is a conspiracy, but there are certain aspects that seem a little suspicious, like the way that, like how close it was. Like if I was in charge of scripting a game that like would captivate the most amount of attention and get people to be as hyped as absolutely possible, that's the way that I would have done it, right? Like have Kansas City trail for most of the game and then have San Francisco miss a golden opportunity, bring it to overtime, right? Like, and take more commercial fees because you just brought it to overtime, and then have Kansas City win in overtime. Like, if I could direct how the game would go, to make it the most exciting possible. That's how I would direct it. And again, like that doesn't prove that it's a conspiracy, but I think there's two sides to this. I think, right? Like you can argue that maybe it is a conspiracy, but on the other side, the argument is that maybe it's not a conspiracy, but it's just a difference in morale. Because coming into the game, there was just so many more people cheering for Kansas City compared to the San Francisco 49ers, right? Because like because of the Swifties, right? So you had all your regular Kansas City fans, and keep in mind, I think Kansas City won the Super Bowl last year or 2 years ago. I don't remember, but they won like another Super Bowl very recently. So they like their fans increased. I'm sure the number of Kansas City fans increased from their previous win. And then now you add on the Swifties. So you just had so much like more expectations and so much more like people cheering for Kansas City compared to San Fran that I think it was kind of like the way that the universe works out. I think like morale makes a difference at the end of the day, right? Like the morale was just so much higher for Kansas compared to San Fran. So maybe that's what kind of threw them over the top. But yeah, I will say the betting odds on OLG's website was actually more in favor of San Francisco winning. So if you guys don't know how the betting odds work, basically it's a multiplier, right? So there's different like ways to play it, but if you bet on just who wins, it's a multiplier, meaning that if you bet, let's say $1, and then the multiplier is 2.05, then you win $2 and you get $2.05 back if you win the bet. So you get an additional $1.05. So it's a multiplier on what you put in, right? So the higher the multiplier, the less likely something it is to occur, right? Because the more money you would win if that happens. So for San Francisco, I think the multiplier was like 1.85 something. And then for Kansas City, it was 2.05. So it was actually the betting markets were predicting more in favor of the San Francisco 49ers winning rather than Kansas City, which is why I was like able to make even more money betting on Kansas City. And actually the odds change as the game is going on, right? So you can cash out before the game ends, and like you can cash out while you're ahead. It's kind of like holding a call option, right? So or you can bet more while the game is going and the odds will change. So at one point, I think it was like 2 quarters in, like Kansas City was seemingly losing. So the betting odds for Kansas City winning went up to like 3.6 or something like that, like for the multiplier. So if you bet at that exact moment, for every dollar, you would have gotten back $3.60 if Kansas City had won, which they did. But yeah, tossing it back to you guys, like, what do you guys think?
Maybe yeah. One day I'll give sports betting a try. Let's see. I'm not that keen on gambling, but
before I was just like, I'm just gonna. The reason why it's $1,100, why it's such a weird number, is because I tossed in $100 at first, and then this was like a couple of days before the game started, and like right before the game started, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, like fuck it, like I'm just gonna toss in 1,000 and see what happens. Which like I don't know how rich like our audience members are, and I don't know how rich you guys are exactly. I have an idea, but like $1,000 for me is a lot of money, right?
yeah.
So like it would have been really bad if Kansas City lost, but they didn't. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like
you lucked
all
out.
the way to the bank, steak dinners for a whole week.
Yeah, you definitely lucked out at that point. The only thing that I do know otherwise, there was a Nickelodeon version, and I thought that was pretty funny. There's probably clips online about that, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wait, what's this Nickelodeon thing?
Yeah, there's like there was a broadcast, so it was like your typical sports networks that were playing the Super Bowl, and then there was a Nickelodeon version too, I think. So there might be clips online about that, so definitely check that out. It's pretty funny.
Chris, do you have anything more to add?
Just that I won't be planning to do any gambling with the old sports betting myself. But
Well,
congratulations on your victory.
well, no, well, I typically I never like do like actual gambling because I know you guys think that I like to YOLO a lot in the stock market, but I would argue for those plays, I do a lot of research and I take very calculated risks when I bet big on whether it be a Bitcoin miner or whether it be like any other stock. But this, to be clear, was just pure speculation. Like I just had a feeling that like with the morale boost from the Swifties, like Kansas City's got this. Like it would be again, as I said, like Elon Musk quote, right? The most entertaining outcome is the most likely. So it's like which is the most entertaining outcome, right? Like San Francisco winning or Kansas City winning with the support of the Swifties. So that's how I made my decision. And again, I'm not encouraging gambling, so please, if you are going to gamble, please do so responsibly and please ensure that you're over 18 before you do so.